Now, lifeadministration.com presents the Life Administration Podcast. Here are your hosts, Leslie Loftus and Ryan Taylor.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Life Administration Podcast. My name is Ryan Taylor, and with me, as always, is
Leslie Loftus. Hello, everybody.
We have a special guest today.
We do, another one.
Yeah, so we a couple weeks back, we mentioned that we would be having Miss Cynthia on today. So So full disclosure, I have no idea what we're talking about. I don't have any skills in this department whatsoever, and I want to call it sewing, but I feel like that is a gross underestimation of what we are going to learn today. Cynthia's off camera right now, just nodding, like, "Boy, you have no idea what you're talking about."
Well, and full confession, this is one of the episodes that actually I want to see, because one of my regrets in my own life administration life is I've never gotten the skills for basic sewing. My mother was approaching couture level, like she could follow the pattern perfectly, and was really good at it, but it never really took. When she was interested in teaching me, I wasn't. You get the idea. Cannot tell you how much easier my 5'3" life would be if I knew how to hem pants.
Yes, and
because I can't buy stuff off the rack,
right.
And there's a ton. I mean, a couple months ago we were talking about guys in tailored suit. When it's actually, there are a lot of basic sewing skills that we use. We buy the stuff off the rack and then we have to send it to somebody because we don't. When it really, and that person's kind of laughing because we're paying them $20 to put in a dart, or cut off an inch off the pants, and it's a simple thing if you know how to do it.
If you know how to do it. Yeah. Right. And I think, for me, as we discussed off camera about 30 seconds ago, I'm very cheap, right?
We discussed it in a nice way, but he's looking for a sleeve for over the
Yes, I want to clean this up here.
Right, and he doesn't want to pay. Anyway, so Cynthia's probably going to whip up one for us.
I mentioned the idea of using an old tube sock, and was basically laughed off the set. So that's definitely not, we won't be doing that, but hopefully this will be streamlined here. And as a quick reminder, our beautiful curtains were made in less than a day.
Cynthia took care of that. If you're watching, the reason that the light looks better is because, Cynthia put some linen curtains behind us. And then we had one more note about, since we have Cynthia upstairs in the studio with us.
Yes, we do have. Yeah. So programming note. As you may have noticed from time to time, there are 4 dogs here that will sometimes interrupt the podcast, but they have. They have a special affinity for Cynthia.
Cynthia is a dog whisperer around here. They love Cynthia. So we've actually got 2 right down there. The big one right here is asleep at Cynthia's feet. Not mine, Cynthia's. Right.
Yep. And so because I'm worried that multiple times this is going to happen and that I don't feel like spending 18 hours editing this episode. If things go crazy, you just have to bear with us for a little bit, because and you can hit the fast forward button for 30 seconds and then things will be calmed down. Right. So also, if you're listening to this podcast, I would highly suggest that you go onto YouTube to watch this, because Cynthia is going to have a lot of visual things that she's going to be showing.
She brought props.
Yeah, she brought props. So if you're listening, head over to YouTube, type in Life Administration. We'll pop right on up there. Right. And if you're gonna watch one episode, if you're normally a listener, this would be the one to watch, I would say. Okay. So with that, we're gonna, through the magic of editing, we're gonna switch positions here. I'm gonna step off camera and let the show begin.
Excellent.
See you guys in a sec.
Ryan. All right, now Cynthia and I are all set. Okay, y'all, this is my lovely assistant, Cynthia.
Hello.
So Cynthia, real quick, how did we meet?
Years ago at a party that I was catering for you.
Oh, that's right.
That's how we met. And after that, it became a love affair. We've been together ever since.
Exactly. We have been together for a while now. Anyhow, so it turns out somewhere like with Ryan, who was my kid's music teacher, and then somewhere along the line we figure out that, Ryan has tech skills, and he starts to become the family producer sort of thing for stuff like podcast. Same thing happened with Cynthia. At some point along the way, she's like, oh no, I can sew. Oh my goodness, you're going to take that to the seamstress? Or oh, you just need a little cafe curtain on the kitchen windowsill. And the cafe curtains are the ones that you put on the little spring rod, and they're just straight curtains that are inside the window. Basically, they're a square or a rectangular fabric with a pocket at the top. She's like, oh goodness gracious, she whipped that up in a day. So anyway, I also had Cynthia during COVID tide, and all that. She's been teaching my kids some of these basic sewing skills because, again, as I say, this is my regret. I'm sad that I don't know how to do some of this stuff. So anyway, today we're going to start off with some of the basic skill. Like, what are the things that you need to know? And as we mentioned, here comes the wolfhound to see Cynthia over there with her. Sit. Anyway, so what are some of the basic skills that you really need to have? And you're a beginning sewer, and this is just so you don't have to go see the seamstress all the time, or you don't have to rely on hiring somebody to make every curtain, every pillow, all that kind of stuff. Go.
Absolutely. Well, one thing, I'll give you a short little background.
Here, pull that microphone over to you.
When I was in the 8th grade, my dad's oldest sister came by the house and said, how come you girls will never come out to my house? Long story short, I went to her house, and she tried to make a short project last a whole week so that I can stay. It was a sewing project.
So used to see her nieces.
Yes.
Excellent.
So she left to go to work. I took the pattern, looked at it because I'm visual. I could look at something and make it a lot faster than if I had a pattern. If you give me something old, I could take it apart and make it from there as well.
And that's one of the things we talked to, because my mom's the opposite. She can follow, she can make the pattern perfect, but you can look at something that you find in a thrift shop and be like, oh, I can put that together.
Or make my own pattern, which I've had to do. From experience, I worked when my children were going to daycare. There was a lady, kind of large lady, gave me a size 10 pattern. I needed a size 22.
Oh,
so I had to recreate that. So then I knew I had it. But going back to the 8th grade, she left and she said, when I come home, we're going to work on this. So I was bored because my cousins left. Pulled out everything, and by the time she got home, I'm sitting in a chair like this, hitting my head on it because I'm going, I can do this. Did it? Only thing I couldn't figure out. So you just kind of have
a talent for how to do this.
You either have a knack for it or something that you're interested in, and you're going to keep it up. This does not say I'm going to sew. This looks easy, because if you're not familiar with a particular thing, like you at law, I was like, oh, Leslie, that looks like it's easy. You say, no, you have to do this and that. It could be easy for some, but these are going to be so basic, it's not funny.
Right. Yes. Right. And that's what we're trying to do. The thing, because some people might go on and they start sewing and they're like you, oh my gosh, I love this. And they're going on into couture land.
Yes.
And others will be like, I'd really just like to be able to save myself the time and money of sending it to a seamstress to hem the pants or dart the waist.
Yes, right. Absolutely. Which could be difficult. It all depends, because you have linings and things like that. And it's just like remaking the whole outfit. You have the lining,
and by the way, that's going to be segment 3. We're going to talk about spotting things on the rack so that, like, oh gosh, this is just a little loose and I can fix it. She's going to give you some tips on,
absolutely.
No, actually you can't fix that one, but that one you sure can. Right.
Yes. Or how to take a $200 dress that someone put in a discount, whatever, for like $19 and make it, turn it right back to being $200.
Excellent.
Simple.
All right. Let's go. So the basic skills that you need. And I'm thinking stuff like how to sew on a button, how to fix a zipper, how to hem pants.
Absolutely. Okay. Hemming is one of the easiest things you can do.
Okay.
If, for instance, you have your hem is out of your pants. And
by the way, for anybody that doesn't, if the hem is the bottom part of your pant, where it folds under.
Absolutely.
So that you have a nice clean line on your pants, that's the hem down at the bottom.
Absolutely.
Or your skirt.
Absolutely. There's some beautiful stuff called heat band hem adhesive. That's one. The old thing is called stitch witchery, which is the same thing. All it is it's like tape.
And again, for those of you who are listening, Cynthia's actually showing us this stuff. So if you want to go to YouTube, go on over.
Yes. So you have this hem.
Okay.
Oh, look, I'm about to go somewhere. I have an interview. My hem is messed up. So what I'm going to do is take out my hem adhesive.
And it looks kind of like cotton tape.
Absolutely.
Like tape.
And then I'm going to show you a trick to really get it done. You're in school. You got to go somewhere. Your hem is broke. So you cut it according to how long your hem is broken. put it on the inside, right here, as such. Take a warm iron, warm and
So
iron
warm
over
iron,
it.
not hot. Oh,
Yeah. Here we go. You have it.
There you go.
And it lasts for quite a few washings before you have to replace it.
so for a quick fix, like you said, I'm just going to an interview and it's broken.
Yes.
Use the ironing stuff, and it takes a few minutes.
Absolutely. And if you don't have an iron, ladies, the big curling iron, just put a piece of fabric over it, let it get hot, the high heat, roll it over it because heat is going to activate it.
I wouldn't even have thought of a curling iron.
Just fix the hem. You're on your way. You're looking good, and your mother will be proud.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay, good deal. So now, a real hem.
Yes. So also, let me step back a little
Okay,
bit.
go for it.
When you're off going to school or for work, a simple little sewing kit is the most important thing that you should have with you. In that sewing kit, you need to have some good scissors.
Which, by the way, my mother used to always say that my fabric scissors were only used on fabric. Don't go switching them off.
No
and
paper
using them.
scissors,
Right.
and you get fabric scissors
Okay,
instead
show
of
them
paper
how it's
scissors.
kicked out. Right, so they're kind of, aren't they the ones that are slightly bent?
Yes, these are this a pair of my first ones, my old
got it.
pair. So this is a pair of my old, and I have some.
But you can get some proper fabric scissors
Yes.
that kind of have a kick. So basically, you can cut along the table
Yes.
without having to lift. You can leave the fabric flat on the table,
Yes.
so it's easier to cut straight.
Even better than that, they have a wheel up now. You can do the wheel, and that's
so
even
like
better.
a little bitty pizza cutter.
Yes, like a little pizza cutter. But anyway,
But you keep those scissors in your sew kit.
In your sewing kit.
They're for your fabric and
absolutely.
your threads. Okay.
So scissors important. Always have safety pins. That's another quick fix. Blouse is open, whatever. Safety pins. My colors of my fabric are put in my basket according to the majority of the colors that I wear.
Okay.
Your basic, if nothing else, you should have white. You should have black. And some sort of tan or neutral. Those colors will get you by all the time.
Right, because if you out and about, or you getting ready to go somewhere and it's navy, and you can use
get
the
by
black
with the black.
right for just that one time,
Yes.
and most people won't notice.
Yes,
Right?
even if you had a floral print, if it's something, whatever, light, you could always get away with the tan or the white.
Got it.
Not anything outrageous. Don't do
So
black.
those, and then the rest of it kind of depends on
your
what
wardrobe.
you wear.
Yes, if you have blue jeans, the gold, most of the jeans are trimmed in gold.
Oh, see, I thought you were going to say some
white?
blue, and no.
Okay. Because you want to keep it as close to, you don't want it to look like it's
like you did fix it.
Absolutely. So you have all your colors that, once you look at your wardrobe.
Okay, and I also notice you have bigger things of white and black because those are your go-tos, but you have smaller ones of
the
some of
other
the
ones
colors.
that I don't
You're
use
not going
that
to need
much.
to use that jewel tone purple all the time.
No.
Right.
No. And gray, of course, is another neutral that you can have as well. But I always get the larger and the ones that I'm going to use the most of.
Okay.
And then smaller versions. I have this, even have something even smaller than this that you can use to keep.
Is
in
there
your
any
bag.
particular kind of thread?
Just make sure you get it's all-purpose thread.
Okay.
There's quilting thread. There's for denim. There's everything.
There's
and
plastic threads.
and it
There's
is-
right. Okay.
yes.
So you just want general AP all-purpose
absolutely.
thread.
Yes, because there's quilting. There's embroidery. So just make sure you get the basic thread. Also, your stitch witchery for your hems. Also, another one of my favorites is liquid stitch.
Okay.
Which is great. Liquid stitch. This
Fabric
is just
glue,
as good. Just a little bit is used like you would glue. A little bit of cross
So
there.
kindergarten class, you're doing your little
Absolutely.
Don't
And this is
glop it on.
permanent.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you take everything that you have and glue it back together.
Got it. Because now, does it show through a little? Because you know how glue it kind of has. If I'm looking at
It's
paper,
clear.
okay,
It's clear.
But
And
does it kind of show a
shouldn't
goopy bit through it? Like, can you tell I fixed it with glue as opposed
if
to?
you put too much.
Got it.
If you put, it's like literally like you would take, say something across your lip, a Vaseline across your lip or something, just a little thin. Press it.
Got it.
It's done. It's permanent. So make
And
sure that you get it
doesn't
correctly.
need heat activation.
No heat activation with that because, of course, again, it's liquid. But this and these things, ladies, tape measure. You never know when something's going to come up and you need to measure something, your waist or what have you for something. When you get clothes and you get all those little buttons and you go like, why do I have it? Keep those buttons because just because you may not use it with that same outfit, you could use it and switch it out with something else. And you can probably switch it out to make an outfit look either expensive or cheap. depending on the button.
Or you can end up one day finding that you need to distract some little kids and it's a craft project.
Absolutely.
I mean, I tend to, I have a mason jar that I keep in my sewing kit, and I just put all the buttons in there.
I have a jar bigger. That just didn't bring it with me, but I have a bigger jar with me. But yeah,
also, so keep all of those bits, those button bits that come with the clothes.
Yes. And something too, I made these, which are a little bit of something out of some scrap material that I had. And these are for my different needles. Of course, my sewing machine needles are on here and different type of sewing needles. And which I forgot to include in the kit as well. There you could buy assorted needle sizes. Sewing needle sizes. They can be
right. So you can get the really like if you were needing to fix a rip in the shirt that you are wearing now, which is a nice cotton lawn with some cross stitching on it, you can use a thin, relatively short needle.
Yes.
If you're needing to fix the hem on your denim blue jeans, you need a heavy, sturdy,
which would be a size 14.
Okay.
They come in sizes. 11, 9, and 11 are your smaller ones, really thin. You have to be careful because you're trying to use that through denim. You will break your needle.
Right.
Yes.
Do you use
thimbles? Don't you dare say thimbles. Thimbles are so grandma.
Okay.
So outdated.
So how do you keep from hurting your thumb or your index finger?
Skill. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
She's got skills. I do not.
I'm sorry. Thimbles. And I think the last time I saw a thimble, they were plastic. And
that's not any good.
No purpose.
No. Because the plastic, you're going to use it 20 times and it's going to bust.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. So again, I
guess if you have your thimble from your grandmother,
you can use it. I would not. I do not, but you can use it. So, but this little cushion has a different size needles in it, and I just take it and kind of sew it in here. I mean, not sew it, just stick it in here so that I could pull it out. It's easy than me sticking them straight up and down and puncturing my finger or whatever. It just
okay, got it. So you stuck them in like
as if I'm going to tuck it
sideways.
Just tuck it up.
So you did a
like
double,
yeah. So that way, and a little small pudding cushion. You could also use this for everything.
Also, we're talking, for those of you who are not watching, these are basically scrap fabric, little tiny pillows that she made, so they're squares.
Yeah, and just stuff them and that's it.
When you are learning, one of the things that you can do is your first project and learning how to cut the fabric properly, doing a proper stitch.
Yes.
Is because I notice on this little pillow right here.
Yes.
Well, first of all, make your own pin cushions, right? For part of your
cute.
They're cute. They're
more
fun, and it's a little
personalized.
bit of practice.
Yes.
But also, I notice you have at least 2 different stitchings on the
Yes.
edging here.
Yes.
So you practice.
Yes.
You know, okay,
Yes.
I'm going to do a running stitch on this one. I'm going to do.
I was in a hurry, and actually at the doctor's office when I did this, so I had it with me for whatever reason. I always take little things to do so that it'll kind of time. And this was just a little quick stitch that I did, which will not come apart unless it's cut.
Right.
But usually I will sew it as much as I can on the other side, opposite side, pull it inside out, and just have just a little stitch on the corner that I hand stitch it so all the goodies won't come out. But all the other edges, as you can tell, this is a free because I took a long piece and I folded it in half, only sewed the side with the machine, and then the end closing it was hand wear. So this has nothing to it. So again, I think it's sweet, it's cute, it's personal, and
it was
extra
practice.
fab. Yeah,
it was
extra
practice.
fabric.
Now, so we were talking about those sewing machine stitches and stuff, but aren't there different type? Rosalia, please stop scraping on the back door. Aren't there different types of stitches for different types of applications?
Yes, but then there's a basic. Okay. You don't have to make it too complicated.
What's your basic
Everything
stitch
does
called?
not have to be complicated. So let me show you an example of here. I've threaded my needle partial, and I'm going to, this is old school, but I can tie a little knot on the end so that it will, when I begin to sew,
it'll catch at the end and it won't come through.
It won't come through. So now I have this, and I have here an example of it, and I kind of sewed it a little bit. So what I was saying, why I don't need the thimble. Take it a little bit. You kind of got your nail. Actually, I think this needle is a little bit too big. Anyway, you're going across like this. But as it come across, you do like a little lock stitch. And you have just locked it right here. Just do a couple of them.
So on that, and I'm sure that they can find, is it called lock stitch?
Yes, like a little lock
Okay,
stitch.
got it. So you can go to different videos on YouTube to see because basically what she's doing is she's kind of tucking it on. She's basically making long knots.
Yes. That are tighten on the end.
Right.
But a lot of people, what they used to do back in the day is cheat and it goes like in and out.
Okay, that's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, in and out. But when you go in and out like this on that material, you also need to come back through, see if you could do this
do a
right
back
here.
stitch.
Yes. So it'll look like that you're doing a sewing machine. So you could do it longer, you could do it shorter. But of course, that's a quick way.
Well, and now
It's not
here,
as pretty.
well, and here's what I'm thinking
And you
too.
got
If
it on the
something
side.
happens and one of those stitches breaks,
Yeah.
they all come out.
Yes.
If something happens and the other stitch breaks, they don't all come
Yes.
out.
And as you notice on the back here, fine. Just a little bit of that will show. So when you're on your pants, and if you have the right color thread that you've matched with the material, which this would have been something like this, you wouldn't see that.
Right.
And me sewing, I'm like, oh my God, they were in a rush, and look at the hem that they did to it.
Right.
So you just need to match it. But I like the first one better. And for kids, if they're doing something that's kind of, I'm not going to say juvenile because that's what you do, but that's a quick,
generalized.
easy step when they're making clothes by hand, little kids and stuff, and then don't have the sewing machine. I could also show them how to make clothes by hand because I used to do that
because it'll
as well.
still work and it'll still hold it together.
Yes.
Now, one of the other skills that I think takes a little bit of time to learn, a little bit of practice, and which is why I would suggest that you work on hand stitching something like your little pin cushion, is tension.
Yes.
You've got to learn how to pull each stitch with the same tightness.
Yes.
Otherwise, these two stitches are puckered and this one's loose. So you need your spacing to be right to have it look good. Your spacing you need to work on spacing and you need to work on tension.
Yes, and also when
Sorry, I know from crochet, not from this. I'm just carrying over.
Absolutely. And then when you finish with it, you got all these puckers and stuff, and you can't go back and
you can't
pull it
straighten
apart
it out.
because when you do, you're going to pop a thread,
Right,
Because
the
it's
thread
too
won't
tight.
hold that much, right?
It's not going to. It's going to be. It's not like with crocheting because you can kind of adjust that a little bit because the yarn have a little give to it. But when you use a material like this, now if you're using a knit material, it may work because again you kind of had that, but still you're
Knit
still
is
going to
the
have
material that gives a little bit
like
more.
sweater material,
Right.
T-shirt material of that nature.
Right, so it can stretch a bit.
Yes.
But whether the guys' Oxford cotton shirts or Oxford shirts, those don't have any give in them.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, like this has no give whatsoever. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the also still if you put the stitch too tight, even with the knit, the sweater material, the T-shirt material, if it's too tight, it's still not going to give.
It's right, and it's
You're
going to
gonna end up
pull, and then
popping.
you're going to
Yes.
right,
Yes.
and you might put a hole in your knit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the good thing, learn how to do this. You can Google it, or you can look at this and come up with it, and boom, you got your hems. Has a little combination of both.
In
on here.
general, okay, if you're not Cynthia and just kind of, one of those people that just kind of get sewing and stuff like that.
Yes.
When you start sewing, when you're doing your little pin cushion project and maybe you've picked to do a simple throw pillow for your couch or something like that. So we're talking straight, simple edges. Maybe you're sticking a zipper in it or maybe you're sticking a button in it and upping your skills. How long does it take to get to the point where you can do this well?
It depends on the person.
Okay.
It depends. It depends on your interest in sewing.
Okay.
If you're interested on, you can. I would start it if I wanted to wear something new the next day. I would go home, cut it out, sew it, buttons, zippers, and wear it the next day.
Okay.
That's how interested I was in sewing. Somebody may go, okay, it took me 2 weeks and I'm still not ready and I don't have a zipper and I have a pin in it. It depends on your interest. How interested are you in sewing?
Okay.
But
I'm
so
more talking
relaxing
about
and
like
fun.
this skill set, like to the point that, okay, I'm now capable of sewing a straight hem that has the proper tension, has the proper straight, I can sew a straight hem that looks good and you can't tell that I didn't buy it that way.
Couple hours.
Okay.
I've taken sweaters that I love, but I didn't want to get rid of it. Cut the sweater out into a pillow, line it, attach it to the back, boom, sew it, put a zipper in it so I can take it and wash it. Maybe 2 hours,
Okay.
depending.
How long did it take you to master the skills though when you were back in 8th grade?
Oh, not very long. Maybe about a year or two because I was always sewing. That
Got
point
it.
I made
Okay,
every
but
single
even
thing.
then, you were always sewing
Yes.
and you're good at it and you're interested in it. it took about a year before you really felt comfortable that now you could just do it blind and you're just doing
tailoring took me about 2 years to do for a tailoring, because my sons were both heavy, so I would make their suits from scratch, bottoms, the whole thing. So that
tailoring is all the stuff like how to put the sleeve together with the bodice, how to put the bodice together, how to put the darts.
We were doing shoulder pads at that time. You have to do pockets. You have to do inserts, your false pockets. And, when you get a suit and they had that little piece of thread, those have to be, things. That takes a lot. I did that for maybe about 6 years, and then kind of like, okay, this is too much. I like to create. I don't like to go back and refix things.
Right. But I think most of the people that are listening to us here, except for the few that are going to find that they're, I really like this.
Yes.
And I want to go on. You're looking, like all things life administration, how often do Ryan and I say this?
Yes.
It takes a lot of time up front.
Yes.
To learn the skill. It takes some practice. It's not rocket science, but it does take practice. And then you get good at it. And then then you can put together, okay, I want to wear this skirt. And I want to make, and you can make it in 2 hours in an afternoon.
And I don't think they teach home economics.
No, they don't. That's one of the reasons we're doing this podcast.
And that's one of the things and I was talking with my son. One of the things that I think I missed from school, because it is so important. You can learn how to sew that button on your pants that you just, you just popped, or you can fix your zipper, and I should have brought a zipper with me, which I did, but, how to, once the zipper has come apart from the, you can do that little stitch that you were doing, in and out, go back and in and out.
Okay.
Until you get back, or you're liquid.
So, so zippers, if you go into a sewing store and you see zippers, they're basically, the zipper is on 2 pieces of kind of cotton.
Yes.
tape.
Material. Yes.
Right.
Tape.
So it's that cotton tape that is attached to the garment.
Yes.
Or the
And there are
pillow
2 different types. There's invisible zippers,
Okay.
which you look at it, you go like, oh, I didn't know that was a zipper.
Yeah, I'm thinking those are harder to install than.
Not really. Not
really?
really. You just have to be very careful to make sure that you get it. Ironing is important when you're doing that.
So pre-ironing, you're going to find when you're talking to the YouTube, or when you're looking at the YouTube videos about how to
sew iron. It makes the whole garment come together a lot smoother.
Okay.
All your edges, all your circles, everything. Once you put it together, iron. And there's so many quick things for that.
Got it.
Not the next big iron.
And that's a bit of a measure twice, cut once kind of thing.
Yes.
So if you've ironed it and you've gotten the line straight, oh my goodness, you're just making a lot of noise back there, aren't you?
She's stretching.
She is. She's stretching.
This particular material like this, you can do what they call hand pressing. You can do this, and you've pretty much.
So like you're making a paper airplane, and you've just pinched the fold, and you've made a little
example. So you're going to put this zipper in. You've hand pressed that, and you got this. This is the 2 pieces that this zipper is going to go in between. So that's why it's important to press. So when you put your zipper on, one side is sewn here, and then when you and the zipper is on this side here,
on the wrong side.
Yes, and you open it to sew it very carefully on the ends, and you close it. Boom.
And then you can't see it.
Your invisible zipper. And then, now they're wearing zippers on the outside of the dress, which I think is like the best thing since cereal.
See, because I just said it, because that's got to be easier to do.
It's easier to do. And it looks cute. You have to make sure you get the bottom on the inside, but, the fall just fine. But it's just like
So it's kind of like the sewing version of, when you've got your coat and you have to line up the little hook at the bottom of the zipper. As long as you've got it lined up, then it goes right in.
Yes.
Right.
And just make sure that your line is straight and you go from there. But it's
Any other basic skills? So we've talked about hem and straight line sewing. Buttons. Okay.
Sewing buttons on your pants or your blouse.
Okay. You're going to have to hold this up, because remember the camera's over there. So behind the thread, nobody can see.
Let's just kind of move this a little bit right here and here. So I did the white button with the dark thread so that you can see it. Again, I'm going to use this thread here because it's already done. I did not do white, and I have gotten to the point where I can do that. I'm holding my button in place, and I'm going on the opposite side. And you could just do it this way to cheat. You're going through one hole. You could either go straight across.
So that it makes like a box?
Yes.
Or it makes like an equal sign or a box, or you can do the X.
Yes.
So, and that's a stylistic choice on how you want the button
to look. How you want it to look.
Right.
And it's not getting in. For some reason, it's not going in. It ain't going. There. then you go here and you go back. And just do it a couple times. So we got this.
Okay. Do you
Side
put
by
anything
side.
on the back to get it like so that it has
Yes.
give?
Once I've done it both times, I take it, and that this time you have a little loop. Take it underneath the little loop, as such. Here, I've locked it in place.
Okay.
Cut, and I am in place. My button is ready to wear.
Okay.
That's if you have 4. Of course, you can have it when you have just 2 as well. And like I said, always keep the buttons that come with it. Your jeans and your pants are always have these brown or black buttons. And always keep the little white buttons because those are also fits inside something. And if you have something that has fallen off of,
yeah,
come in
that
handy.
you can probably easily cheat with one of those. And especially, I mean, obviously if it's, the 3 top buttons on your blouse,
Yes.
you need those to match.
Yes.
But also if you don't have that button, then you can pull up one from the bottom, and then you can put the cheater button that blends or camouflages down at the bottom.
Absolutely.
So
and
there's all
most of
sorts
the time you can kind of fix it up and start your own trend too. These days. Back then when I was kind of sewing, being 34. That
If you're not watching, you missed that look.
being 34, that everything had to be matchy. Now it's not. It's kind of like just freelance. Put something on it. Put some funky buttons on it. And there's so many buttons.
Of so many buttons. There are buttons that are made out of seashells. There are buttons that are plastic kind of tortoise shell stuff. There's fabric button. Yeah.
One thing I used to do is I would go to like the Goodwill stores and something that I knew was my designer name, take the buttons. I paid $10 for the buttons for the shirt. The one button can cost you $5. I would get the shirt or something, $2, take the buttons off. Really wasn't too, particular about the shirt.
Right.
Take the buttons, add it to something else. I have in my mind that same outfit that I just paid $200 in the store because I just changed the buttons, or I've just made a Walmart outfit look more expensive because I changed the buttons out.
Okay.
So
Got it. But
that's
you
another
did
good
that
thing.
not by going and buying the full price buttons.
No.
But buying the shirt at the thrift store with the cool buttons that, well, now you can use the shirt as a painting shirt because you're getting ready to paint your kitchen for
Yes,
instance.
yes, exactly.
exactly.
Or a nice shirt, cutting the sleeves off to make a shirt because it's damaged at the bottom. You've now changed into a quarter-length sleeve short or short sleeve shirt, and now you have a whole different
Because now all you have to do is take that off and then you just do your hem.
Yes.
Your hem on the sleeve. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Now let's get back to your sewing kit because I noticed with the stuff that you talked about, you have a small little basket that you keep this somewhere easily accessible.
Accessible all the time. Again, these are what I was telling you about, different buttons, and this is just
So you
my
have a
little
box of buttons.
Yeah, this
along
is my
with all of the other things.
This is my can of things that have come off of things that I've worn in the past, and so some of them have been switched out. This was a jacket back from Buku years ago, but I saw the jacket in the store. I think it was at Neiman's, and the jacket was like $400 something. So I didn't take a picture. I took a lot of times too. What I
Took
would
a
do,
mental picture.
and got something as close to it as possible because my brain, of course, was a lot more foggy. I mean, better than it is right now. It's fogging up at 34. But like I said, this is my little can. Any button that I have from anything anyone has, male or female, this is where it goes.
Got it.
And this is my little free all. But the kit definitely has to have or need to have your basic thread, your needles, your safety pins. You'll be surprised.
Right. And then you stick it in the little basket that you've got. And so
it stays in my closet, so it's there all the time.
Quickly accessible. So it's one motion storage for,
Absolutely.
oh, shoot, my hem is blown out and I've got a meeting in an hour.
Yes.
And I need to do a quick, well, my Stitch Witchery little iron on stuff is here. Or actually, I've got 2 hours, so I can really whip this together quickly.
Yes.
And you can just go ahead and sew it and then not have to worry about it again.
Absolutely. But you probably wouldn't need, even if you had 2 hours, this is like the best thing. And then you're going to forget about it and you're not going to get it fixed until after a few months. You've taken it to have laundered and everything else. And then you realize, I never did change that. But that's how
that's
works.
happened to me because I did actually get to the point that I had the Stitch Witchery tape around, and every once in a while I would fix a hem with that. And it takes so many number of washes, and then all of a sudden it's coming out again.
The Scotch tape does not work.
Scotch tape does not work.
It does not work.
And it's got tape. By the way, then it's almost embarrassing because now you're walking around and you're in the middle of the meeting.
And the tape comes off.
And then tape comes off. And by the way, Scotch tape makes a little noise.
Yes.
Right. Yes. So it's like now not only has my seam busted again, but it's now drawn attention to the fact that it's busted. Absolutely. When you might have been able to finesse it, otherwise.
Yes.
Exactly. All right. Let's see. So we've got those. All right. So segment 3, because we kind of did you merged my segment 1 and 2. Okay. There we go. So, but that's all right. So we've got the basic skills and we've gone over the basic equipment. Mm-hmm. All right. So you're out shopping. How do you spot quality on a rack? So like the thing that, okay, that actually might be worth $200, or I need to hem it, or I need to do some sort of fix to it. And that's going to be easier to fix than others. What kind of stuff do you like? Oh, that's great. And what kind of stuff do you say, oh, I'm going to avoid that?
Right. The clearance rack.
Okay.
Go to the clearance rack. Mm-hmm. And they also, I remember back when Macy's, when I worked at Macy's,
I didn't know you worked at Macy's.
Yes, actually, it was
I learned something
Foley's,
new.
And then I was
Foley's. Wow.
Yes.
I used to love Foley's.
Yes, Foley's, and then it turned into Macy's, and then I was in cosmetics. But I was always, I was at the area where cosmetics is where the expensive clothes were versus going down that aisle to where things were not expensive. So I got a chance to pull out things, suits. At the time, it was Tahari and the Casper suits and things of that nature. I had was going to a function at work. And with 2 kids, being a single mom at the time, I could not afford a lot of money, but I knew I could sew. Right. So my thing is, if I can find something that if it's been ripped, or the belt loop is missing, or the belt is missing, the dress. So
you would shop for the quality things that just they're going to give me a big discount on it because this seam got busted.
The belt was missing. The loop was out. The hem was gone. The buttons were missing. Those are things that were quick fix. I could still turn it around and wear it. I had found a hot pink dress that it was absolutely gorgeous and it fit me so cute.
And hot pink's a good color for you?
Yes. The belt was missing and the buttons were missing and the hem. So it was like all 3 of them. And the dress was like $250 or $60. I got it for $19. Turn the dress, put all the buttons back on it, and everybody going, isn't that a so-and-so dress? I said, yes, it is. And they were going, oh my God, that is so beautiful.
And so you got it for $19 and it probably took you an hour and a half to fix all of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. What kind of things do you not look for? Like, so one of the things that comes to mind to me is linings. So either dress or pants or something like that. How do you tell when, okay, this is a well-made garment because the lining is done properly versus this is a poorly made garment that the lining is, well, it's here, but it's, because I can't tell you how many times I bought something and the pants themselves say fit, but the lining underneath doesn't. And then it ends up ripping out. Anyway, and I certainly didn't have even approaching the skills to be able to go through and redo the lining.
Yes. A lot of times that could be expensive clothes or cheap clothes.
Right.
It depends on
that's the other thing.
And
just because you're buying the expensive stuff.
Yes.
So how do you tell good lining from bad lining?
And if you can, when you turn it inside out, and you look at it from where it should be. Right. And if it had the curves, you turn it inside out and the exact same curves are there and you can, and hold it up. And look at it. It's more of a visual thing. It's something I can't really tell you, but I'll.
So if the lining edges and seams and outline, the lining outline follows the garment outline. Yes, you're probably better.
You're probably getting a better thing. Okay. But a lot of times you can still with even an expensive garment, you can try the dress on and the lining may be too tight, but the skirt you're like, what's wrong? You can take that lining out. And so still have that expensive outfit. You have to just watch it because you still want it to look nice. No, not necessarily, because most of the time, even if they're lined, it's still a good quality, which is your wools and your things of that nature.
So sometimes they're lined for like comfort.
Yes.
Right. Because lots of people don't like wool. And now having lived in a hot and cold climate, I can say when I'd never lived in a cold climate, I hated wool. Why in the world would it's the itchiest stuff. Wool is itchy when it's hot outside.
Yes.
Okay, which in Houston, it rarely gets cold enough that wool is a comfortable fabric to wear. Yes. When you live somewhere like London and it's wet and cold all the time, let me tell you, I had no problem putting, wool sweaters directly on my skin that I would never even think about doing in Houston. Because when you're cold, it doesn't itch. I don't. Yeah.
Your skin is frozen. Why should it itch? You're frozen.
It's numb.
Who's itching? Who's itching? But It just depends on how it is. And then it has to do with body type as well.
Okay.
I'm full-figured, bottom heavy, so I always have to end up getting something to fit my hips, which doesn't fit my waist, which is the benefit because I could go home and adjust it by either putting darts.
So putting the dart in the waist is relatively easy.
Yes,
Right.
Or sometimes I have to take it off and cut it down.
Right. Okay.
But it's a gift
that's
and a
a
curse.
slightly-
it's a gift and a curse.
Okay.
Gift because it looks good. A curse because I have to adjust everything that I wear.
Right.
Or
Well,
belt,
and
or put a
that's where
belt.
I am. I
Yeah.
I
Or use a
can't
belt.
buy stuff off the rack.
Yes.
And so I have that same problem a little more on the top.
I remember taking your pants up.
Yeah, you've fixed a
Height
bunch.
challenged, I
Yeah.
call it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay.
She's now my fix-it person. All right. Signs of good seams, zippers, and fasteners. All of us have bought some, let's say, skirt that has a hook and eye in it, and maybe the hook and eye is on the side, but it pokes you
Yes.
all the time.
Yes. They didn't put it on there right. Either someone before wore it or tried it on and stretched it out.
Okay.
Or when you're looking at, I'm going to try to make one of it. You got a hook and eye closure between these two pieces.
Hook and eye closures are those little like slight metal wire kind of thing that it's a little hole, like a little hooky buttonhole, and then it's a hook that goes into it. So,
Absolutely.
Okay.
So you got that. If you found it that is already, by the time you hook it in a space like that, it's a space in between, it's open, it wasn't done properly. It's not well made.
Okay.
Because when you use a hook and eye, it's still supposed to be placed, sewn on to where when it's hooked, that you still do not have that seam in your
So I should,
clothing.
when I'm wearing the garment properly, or when I'm looking at the garment, even just hanging on its hanger,
Yes.
I shouldn't be able to tell without looking on the inside that it's a hook and eye.
Absolutely.
The fabric should line up.
Yes.
Oh, that's
It should
trick.
line up. It should line up because if not, it wasn't well made. You see like a little hole, it wasn't well made
Okay.
because they did not take the time to make sure that it was closed. The ends that come together, the two pieces, left and the right sides, were not matched properly. So they're either over each other or they should be like the kissing position.
Just kissing. Yeah.
So that when you hook it on there, it looks flat.
Got it.
It's not supposed to be open like that.
Okay. How about zippers? Any tricks for noticing bad and good zipper? Because I mean, we've all been through zippers that you wear the garment twice and it falls apart.
The bad thing about that now, I should say unfortunate thing, is because of now we have the zipper on the outside of the clothing, and with the invisible zippers, just got to make sure you're not supposed to see it.
Again, so it's
You're
that's
only
like the
supposed
hook
to
and
see the
eyes.
little
You should be
pull
able to
at the
kick
top.
it. Okay.
Yeah, the only thing you should see is that little pull at the top. You should not see zipper. You
Shouldn't see the
form
teeth.
to where it matches perfectly together. You should not see that whatsoever.
Okay.
Even with darts.
And now I get why you say that's a problem, because now it looks like an accent on the outside, so it's harder.
Yes.
It's harder to figure that out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything about hems or any other things about clothing that you're like, not well made?
A lot of times, if you're short, as yourself, height challenge, I'm going to say, and you go get bell-bottom pants, when you cut that down, your bell-bottom is going to be still maybe bigger. When you're sewing it, you can also taper it a little bit more. You may not want it as wide.
Right.
Or you could, anyway, you're going to have to adjust. You should adjust it because your hem
Proportions.
shouldn't be no more than maybe an inch or inch and a half because of the being short. I'm tall, so I can kind of get away with a bigger hem. But
Right.
still, I don't want the big giant bell-bottom pants.
Right.
I could always slim them down, which,
So you need to kind of watch proportions, especially if you need to adjust something,
Yes.
because you can't just go off and lop off the
Right.
bottom and have it look right.
absolutely. Mostly everything is body type. We have so many body types. It's not like when we were growing up, everybody had that 5'5" figure. Everybody was a size 2.
Well, no, I think the clothes
Negative
were
2.
just that size.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
clothes were just that. Not everybody had that
Yes,
figure.
but we were all little. We were little, but now it's everything. We have a whole different from young kids to adults. We have a whole different variety there, so we have to take that into consideration.
All right. Okay, I'm looking at my notes to see. Okay, and we're about at 46 minutes as our usual thing. So a few closing thoughts. So one of the things a lot of these skills that we're talking about, specifically the straight line home. So we talked about clothes mostly, but a ton of this can carry over into simple home projects.
Yes,
Right, such as the linen curtains that she's made for us, or
something very simple as that. Shower curtains, anything that's
so anything
just
that's
whatever.
basically square and straight is pretty easy to do.
Even something with pleats is very easy. One thing,
See,
unless
pleats.
you're-
She says pleats, and I'm like, how in the world is that easy?
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Okay.
It's just like a little gathering. You have to know the space in between, maybe 3 to 4 inches, however you want it done.
Right.
And that's what would come with measuring
Okay.
twice before you cut anything. That's why when I was taking the measurements, I said, what do you want it directly in the window or you want a little bit under? And I got it exactly from the top to the inside of the window, so there's no light going through. It depends on how fancy you want them to be. That's a very simple curtain.
Got it. But we're talking knife edge pillow, basically your square pillow covers. Those are pretty
Round
easy
pillows,
to do.
anything, yes.
Right.
Take a bowl, make it, and do it a little bit wider with about a half an inch out so that you have, so, and I have a serging machine, which makes the professional edges on the end of the garment, which makes life so much easier.
Real quick, one more. Okay, so let's say you've kind of got hand sewing down and everything, and you would like to get a starter sewing machine. Excuse me, sewing machine. A few recommendations.
Singer, just go to Walmart, get a Singer machine. You're not spending a lot.
And it doesn't need 15 features and stuff like that. Because you can sell it to somebody or hand me it down to somebody if you get to the point where I'm really good at this and I want the fancy one.
Now, the little small, simple $100 sewing machine at Walmart, Target, or whatever has on the side basic little knobs so you can make buttonholes. And there's different little, it'll show you how to do that, which are easy. Make the buttonhole. You have to measure it. You have to do it a little bit extra to do. Measure your buttonhole, cut it out in the middle, you have a buttonhole.
Right.
They have that. They have a simple zigzag machine because not everyone has a serger. Yes, the rickety rack thing. Not everyone has a serging machine to make the professional edges that you mostly see on things. And that rick rack zigzag features there to kind of what they said to keep the ends from frailing, from coming apart once you start doing them. But it has basic things on it. Very simple, very easy to load up, and it should be fine.
Okay, excellent. All right. Any final thoughts from you, Cynthia?
No,
Anything that
just
you would
have
suggest?
fun. It's sewing is it's easy if you're interested. I highly recommend it if you have small children. I had 2 big boys, and most of the time I had to make their clothes because my oldest one was a very thick little boy, husky. So I would make him suits, little overalls, everything. But I had time to do that.
Right.
And I enjoyed doing it. And yes, I did work.
And by the way,
but I
she's saying she had time to do that as a single mom. So clearly once you get these skills, it's pretty, it's once you learn it, it's pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
And then also, all of us know the story of, toddlers are growing and stuff like that. And there's the time that they're growing like crazy. And so it would be really helpful to buy the slightly longer pants that you can then hem up for the 3 months that they're shorter and then slowly let them. My sister-in-law's done a lot of that. She's got a little more sewing skills than I do. But she would just let out Ian's pants as he went along. And then it saves you instead of, oh my gosh, I'm buying pants every 3 months, which sometimes happens when, especially boys that are going to be tall hit their growth spurt.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
they go
girls
through
too
clothes.
now. Girls too, because the thing was we were tall and skinny, so we had to have that extra on the bottom because I was sewing and making clothes for my sisters too.
Oh, okay.
And then my youngest son, youngest daughter, Lord have mercy, my youngest sister, when she was in things at school, I would make her outfits that she needed for whatever the situation, and her little friend. So I would make the little dresses they needed for choir and things like that. So
really, once you got you could whip this stuff up like
so much,
you were
easy.
whipping up a pot of pasta.
Yes.
I've got extra people coming over, so I'm going to whip up a pot.
You bought a simple dress at the store. You just spent $50 where you can go and make that same little dress, simple little dress, little top, little bottom. You can add little ribbons and do whatever you want to.
Dress.
And probably spend maybe $15, $20. So you save $30 and you have that many times how many kids you have. Wonderful.
Okay.
It's very good. It's very easy.
Well, Cynthia, this is excellent. Thank you for coming on. And
it's been my pleasure.
Excellent. Thank you very much for being with us today and helping us out with, figuring out.
I hope it was helpful.
Oh, wait, now I don't know how to close. Ryan, you're going to need...
Chill.
I don't know. I can't chill. It's not physically possible for me to do it. You have to come over here and do it.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Ryan, who's now stepped in to help us close. Thank you.
I think like right here should be good. So, if you have enjoyed this episode and watched the train wreck that just was the closing of it, go ahead and give us a thumbs up on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, all the places where you get podcasts and things like that. So, you can find me. I think we've covered that. My goodness. Now she wants
close.
Now she wants to close it. Anyway, guys, we had super fun doing this episode. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking like, boy, there's a lot here. So I'm glad that I got some time to digest this after the fact. So it's really good. You can find me at Twitter, RyanTaillon, and lifeadministration.com. Leslie, here you go. You can do this part.
Crap. All right. I am usually at Twitter, Leslie Loftus Text, TX. And I also am putting up the show notes. Oh, by the way, I now have all of the new show notes because Ryan and I months ago I thought show notes was helpful links. Ryan thought show notes was kind of our little outline script that we use for the show notes. Right. So anyway, it took me a while. So I have to go back on the older episodes and I need to just edit and make sure that they're actually presentable for everybody. But all of the new episodes now have their show notes up. And all of those PDFs that we've been talking about for a while, of those extra bits of information and checklists and outlines, we are almost ready to send those out to people who have subscribed on the website. So if you are interested in, say, the disaster preparation stuff from Eileen, go ahead and sign up on the website, give us your email, and we will send some extra information out to you, hopefully sometime next month. All right. And I think that's it. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. We will see you next time.